There it goes. 47 seconds of spacey goodness. Switch it so you can see the spacey goodness. Nope, that was the wrong button. That button. Transition. Why did it not transition? We are live now.
Promise?
Promise.
Prove it.
You can YouTube as easily as I can.
What I see on YouTube is animations of space, but maybe it's delayed.
It's 20 seconds behind. Mm-hmm. What's going out is what's above you in the window where we're chatting.
Again, there, I see us. We did it. That's us.
We did do it. Yes.
Hooray. How is your how's your engineering feeling today? Are you solo again?
I'm solo, and I have realized that if you attach too many Bluetooth devices to your computer uses curse words and decides it's only going to attach to what it feels like attaching. So you get the big headphones today because none of the small ones will work.
Someday, somebody will figure out how to make Bluetooth work. I'm looking, but that day won't be soon. Like, what a janky technology. It's the worst.
Yeah, I do have to say that my obnoxiously expensive, I actually traded in an old computer to get them, Apple headphones work remarkably well. The only time I run...
Like a physical jack?
No.
Physical jack headphones?
No, these are Bluetooth.
They're Bluetooth. Okay.
Yeah. These are the ones that are Apple's. They do noise cancellation. They do what's called a transparent mode, which actually works super well and boosts the outside world just enough that I can hear my husband more often, which he appreciates. And they just somehow magically know which Apple device needs them the most at any given moment and can smartly transition most of the time. The only problem I've run into is I upgraded my studio computer to Monterey, and Monterey was just like, and now I'm going to screw up everything. So tomorrow I'm actually just going to reformat this computer and install Monterey, because upgrading was not the right answer.
People say you've got your Princess Leia look going.
I do.
With your headphones. That's awesome.
General Leia.
Yeah, it's funny here. She's both, right? She can be a princess and a general.
It's true.
Trapped in a trailer, I wear headphones a lot to try and save Carla from whatever nonsense I'm listening to. But it also makes it tough to hear her talking, because she'll be like, "Oh, check this out," and I won't hear her, and then she's like, "Can you hear me?" I had my headphones on. I might be like I'll be editing audio or something like that. I got the headphones on, right? Because it's just like it's annoying to hear another person's work. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, the transparency mode is a miraculous thing. So it's the best noise cancellation I've experienced. It's better than my Bose headphones, and which admittedly are like 8 years old.
Right.
But the transparency mode, I highly recommend if you want to buy headphones instead of sending your kid to college with money for textbooks. They're good.
Yep. Were we going to do another gift episode this year? Is that a plan?
I don't know. Hold on, let me look. You think I know what we're doing more than 1 week in advance?
No, I assume you don't. But neither do I. No, we've got small rocky bodies next week, and then Mars. So anyway, just
We
I don't
can
know if that's
add it. So we have a request to do a JWST episode, and it sounds like a gift episode. And
you got to wait for
wow,
that. Has to happen after December 22nd, though, right?
yes, it not in that order. Clearly. No, JWST. I think we do after the 30 days of terror.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, the
That's
only
that's the soonest you're willing to do it is proof that the satellite. And I think we'll talk about DART today because at least it made it to space. I think that is.
Yes, that's fair.
Can we agree from here on out that your line is the spacecraft reaches the loving
trajectory
embrace of space?
No, it has to actually get its solar panels deployed and be headed in the correct direction.
So we're looking at you, Lucy. Right, you're halfway there. Halfway to deployment is not enough.
Oh, poor Lucy.
Yeah. Poor
Do you
Lucy.
think they're going to be able to get that going? What's your take?
Oh yeah, I do.
Did you? Yeah, of course you were in the same weekly Space Hangout episode I was producing. Finding out that they have a variety of, if only these parts unfold, plans of action for JWST was just sort of like.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Yeah. This is well, I mean, you think about like examples of this in the past, right? Galileo, its main antenna not completely unfurling, and so they had to switch to a completely different method of transmitting data back to Earth using the secondary antenna. Kepler losing its ability to direct itself and having to switch. You have a crazy dog now.
I know.
You got too much dog going on. What are you gonna do about this excess dog allowance?
I was really hoping it was just like the Amazon guy.
It's like the way your house is, it must be a trail of Amazon guys, just one after the other. Just a constant line of Amazon guys.
My husband is planning to take up streaming, so you're not lying, because he's like, you know that point in streaming where you're like, and I need to get this, and I need to get this, and I need to get this, and you're not actually relying on the streaming to pay for that stuff.
Yeah.
He's at that stage. So I'm like, I have pass-me-downs. I can give you, and he does not want my pass-me-downs. No, he does not. So basically, he's just like, I'm going to get you a Hero 10 and use that to justify getting myself all this other stuff.
So I want to tell you about my latest obsession.
Yes,
which is
please.
called Starry AI. Have you heard about this?
No, it sounds cool. I'm now Googling.
So it's you put it on your phone, and it's artificial intelligence that draws pictures. Oh, okay. No, I don't want that. Hold on. Let me find. I'll show you some examples.
Those are super weird.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's see. All right. So here's the one that I just made. All right. So I don't know if you can see this.
Hold on. I'm going to switch to you being embiggened.
Yeah. Let's put this in front of my eyes. So this is a city on the moon.
I'm going to zoom in on you. Hold on. I'm going to try and zoom in on you. I zoomed in on my audio. That doesn't work. Got it.
If that works. That's a city on the moon.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. And then my camera's gonna go back to me. This is the space battleship in the Nebula of Death.
Oh wow. That's super cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you give different. Hold on. Let me do. I'll show you. Hold on. Here you go. This is foggy morning on Vancouver Island.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you just give it some a text example. It can be anything. It can be
Yeah.
super esoteric, right? Like whatever. I've done some crazy concepts, and it's just so much fun. It draws weird, and you can give it different influences. You can have it like be made out of metal. You can have it be colored pencils. You can have it be acrylic. You can have it whatever. It's just on your phone, and
Yeah.
you get 5 credits. You can make 5 pieces of artwork a day, and or pay money to get more of them. And I'm
Fair.
having so much fun with it as artificial,
Now,
and this sort
can
of glimpse of content creation with artificial intelligence.
can you download them to make screen backgrounds or anything?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You should once they're rendered, then you just download them. So it's called Starry AI, and you just put it on your phone, um, and then just get like again like it's kind of amazing what you can do. And I've been trying
Yeah.
to like I think you could almost use it for things like illustrations to go along with articles and stuff where the concept is sort of esoteric and it's really hard to come
Dark
up with
energy.
something. Yeah, exactly. Dark energy, whatever. Yeah, exactly. It would come up with something that is evocative, right? Of dark energy. Or
That's
right. It's really neat. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. And like even check out their Twitter feed and you'll see sort of all the weird, interesting art that people come up with. And obviously this is just a glimpse of the future. I play a lot with things like GPT-3, which write text for you.
yeah,
And it's this
yeah.
thing like that we're entering this world where you don't have to necessarily have the technical skills to be able to actually produce the thing. And I think this is going to allow a lot of people to be creative in ways that they never were able to do before.
Who owns the copyright on that?
Well, you do. So Dustin King is saying, unfortunately, it makes them in NFTs. I think that's an option. You can choose to destroy the planet and participate in a scam if you wish, but you don't have to. So okay, let's get in with this week's episode.
Okay, I need to start this is episode 6. That's not a number. It is 623.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my monitor for it over here. And I'm naming it Daily Space. That's not right.
This is gonna be fun.
Oh, Friday
John, are you
brains.
giving us an out of context warning? 13 minutes in, and we're not talking about space yet. Is that what this is?
We were talking about
Should we be on
space
target?
art.
Yeah, we're talking about space art, space gifts, planning out the future, talking about spacecraft. How can you? They're inextricably linked.
Testing. Are you recording? Okay, it's recording.
Okay. Should I be recording as well?
Yes, it would be a good thing.
All right, then. All right, here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 623, Near-Earth Objects. Concern or nah? Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Fraser Cain, publisher of Universe Today. With me, as always, is Dr. Pamela Gay, a senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute and the director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's that time of year where it feels like everyone is either sick or distracted by the holidays and just living for the weekend. And here we are recording Friday afternoon, and I know I, for one, am living for the weekend.
Literally, the second this show stops, I'm going to play some video games. My newsletter's out the door. My work is done for the day. All my writers are working. Everything's going great.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop everything, eat some noodles, and play some video games. That's the plan.
Minecraft 1.18 is out. I'm hoping to get to take a look at that this weekend.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I played with Chloe last week. We played some Minecraft.
Awesome.
So, Yeah. People keep asking me. I have the cape from taking Chloe and Logan to the Minecon, the first one, and so people keep wanting to buy my account. Can't have it. It's mine. Craft. All right, let's get on with this week's episode. Are asteroids dangerous? Well, just ask the dinosaurs, and they'll tell you a sad story of fiery death. It turns out we're in a shooting gallery of space, rock, and metal, and somewhere out there, there's one with our name on it. Should we be worried, or are the risks so minimal to be irrelevant? And we'll talk about it in a second, but first, it's time for a break. And we're back. All right. Let's first start with the horrible worst case scenario. How bad can asteroid impacts be?
A really bad one will turn the surface of the planet completely molten, toss the crust off of our world, and create a new moon.
Okay. Right. Okay. All right. So okay.
I think I went a little further than you were looking for there.
Okay. Yeah, but that's like if Ceres crashes into the Earth. So
yeah.
of the types of space objects that are in our area, in the near Earth object region,
Right.
what is like a bad day for humanity?
A bad day for humanity is when you have something come through and hit, worst case, in some ways is solid ground, because then it throws all the debris up, and all the kinetic energy that it gains from the shockwave of the impact gets turned into heat energy as it comes back downwards, also the gravitational potential energy. And all of that heat getting added into the atmosphere kind of turns our planet into an oven, which isn't what we want. Now, on the other side, though, of trying to define like bad day for humanity, if you hit the ocean just right, you generate giant tsunamis that essentially inundate everything. Where like folks at the top of mountains are good, and you still have
from the atmosphere, everything being like an oven.
Right. Well,
that still happens anywhere you go.
It's still gonna happen. It's just a different format and different amounts of energy. At least with the tsunami, some of the energy is getting redirected into water. Not enough, as the dinosaurs learned. Not enough.
Including the ones that went orbit.
Yes. Well, they didn't die from the heat of the atmosphere getting baking hot. They died from the frictional heating of the atmosphere.
Yeah, they fortunately were able to avoid it. But yeah, you get this impact event, all of this debris is thrown up into space, then re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, heats up, drops molten rock around the planet, lights the world's forests on fire. It can be bad, very bad. All right.
And there's some amazing science fiction that really gets this right. Larry Niven's Lucifer's Hammer and Neil Stephenson's Seven Eves both really describe bad ways to wreck the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucifer's Hammer, that was a terrifying book. I read it, and I was pretty young. I think I was like in my late teens when I read that book. And that definitely freaked me out as a way to go.
Yeah. I read it while attending a science fiction convention where I knew I was going to get to meet Larry Niven. And it was just sort of like, of all the things I could have just put in my brain, this was not the right one. Right, excellent book, though. Just, you will stay awake.
Yeah, not the Mote in God's Eye, but instead Lucifer's Hammer. All right, so now we know that if a asteroid hits the Earth, it's a very bad day for humanity and all life on Earth. What are the chances that a large asteroid is going to strike the Earth in the future ever? In near or far future?
Ever? It's 100%.
100%. 100%. So we've got a 100% chance. In the ever. Yeah, 100% chance of a large asteroid striking the Earth and causing the kind of destruction, dinosaur orbiting destruction that we mentioned earlier. Okay. All right, so now we've got one side of the spectrum. So now temper this conversation. What are the chances of it happening on any given year?
Negligible. And this is where statistics get super funky, because when you say the Earth gets struck by this kind of thing every 200 million years or so, and it's been 200 million years pretty much since the last really bad impact, that isn't to say that this is going to occur every 200 million years. This is saying that over the fullness of time, when you take this completely randomized process and average it over the fullness of time, it occurs roughly every 200 million years. But the reality is you could get 2 years in a row that are really bad for our planet.
That would
really
be super
bad.
Unlucky. Yeah.
And then you can also go like a billion years and be fine. Probably not going to happen. There's probably going to be something out there that gives us a bad day, but it's any given year you're looking at that 1 in 200 million ish issue.
But it's not like there are only large asteroids out there. There's a distribution curve of smaller and smaller asteroids, and the smaller ones hit more often. So how likely are we to face some kind of asteroid impact at some point that causes some kind of damage? I know that was like a lot of weasel words, but
right.
Yeah.
So I want to say that just last week there was someone heard a really loud noise and went to explore, and it turned out a meteorite had crashed through their roof. These things happen on the years to decade kind of level, where a car gets hit, a roof gets hit, and the more stuff we build, the more things are going to get hit, and damage of
the Russian town get exploded.
All the buildings in a Russian town, all the windows.
Yeah, all the windows in a Russian town get exploded. The trees in a vast chunk of Siberian forest get knocked over. A hole is gouged out of the Arizona desert.
Well, yeah, that one was kind of extreme. But someone getting a hole in their ceiling from a space rock isn't that much damage compared to a lot of the stuff that we get just from like a massive storm putting ice on all of the trees, causing the limbs to fall off and shatter roofs left and right. So I'll take a space rock over an ice storm any decade.
Right. Unless it hits your roof.
Still would cause less damage than the trees out there.
Okay, fine. So how small does an asteroid have to be? Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do a break. So hold on.
Okay.
I will talk more about this in a second, but it's time for a break. So fine. You're talking about small rocks going through people's roofs and landing gently on the pillows beside them. Let's say, like, what is the minimum size where we're starting to see some real damage to people who happen to be unfortunately under an asteroid strike?
This is a double-sided problem. There is, first of all, what is the composition of that rock coming down? Because if you have a metal-rich asteroid, meteoroid coming through the atmosphere, it's going to survive the atmosphere a whole lot easier. So you're looking at something that is measured in meters is going to make it to the ground and make a divot in someone's back pasture. If, on the other hand, you have something that is a really carbon-rich chondrite piece of like mineral rock coming down through the atmosphere, it could be the exact same size and burn itself up completely through frictional heating. So you're looking at not just how big is it, but what is that sucker made out of? And so when you get a many meter across chondrite, you can end up with bowling ball sized chunks spread over. Well, there was a really cool one back in 1969 that came in and exploded over the Chihuahuan Desert. and left tons upon tons of debris for folks to go pick up and do research on. And so if you want that giant single divot in your yard, you need a big old metal meteorite. If you want
Right.
scattered, less dangerous stuff, if you ignore the sound wave, that was what got everyone in Chelyabinsk. You want a carbonaceous chondrite.
There's actually people who go with metal detectors to like farmers' fields
Yeah.
looking for those metal meteorites, and they find them. It's kind of amazing.
We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tons of debris hitting our world every year. And most of it goes unnoticed. Most of our planet is water, and we're just not seeing it coming in. A lot of the planet is agricultural. We don't notice it coming in. And we're starting to really get a sense of how bad it is from there's a project in Australia where they have people setting up just digital cameras, single lens refract cameras all over Australia pointed at the sky, and they're catching the streaks coming in and then going into the outback to collect the rocks. And this is a regular occurrence, and now we know just how regular it is, and they're getting way better at collecting all those rocks.
They've actually taught drones. We did a story on Universe Today about this, that they built a drone with some machine learning algorithm on it that can recognize meteorites and collect them autonomously. And so they just send this drone out. It scans the land, flies across the landscape, looks for potential meteorites, picks them up, brings them back to the researchers, and they can confirm whether or not they're actually meteorites. So and of course, we know that people do this in Antarctica as well. They
Yes.
go out on the, because if you find a rock sitting on top of the snow on a kilometer of ice in Antarctica, it probably came from space. So we know this stuff is falling all the time. Um, to a certain size, they start to cause some kind of damage. So if we like blend all of these ideas together, how much of a threat are we from some kind of near Earth asteroid in our lifetimes?
So the Jet Propulsion Lab keeps track of all known objects that have Earth-crossing asteroids, and their Sentry program ranks them by just how dangerous they are. And right now, there is nothing that is hazardous that is slated to hit our planet. And there are two major survey programs out there. NEOS looking for stuff that we would have time to deflect, and Atlas looking for stuff that we missed until it was too late.
Oops.
And those two programs are making massive inroads into both finding out just how much stuff do we not notice until it's too late, Atlas, and just what is out there waiting to be discovered that will hit us. And so far, I mean, Apophis got really interesting a couple decades back, but with follow-up study, we keep finding we're safe right now. We're safe.
Mm-hmm. But are we? I mean, we know that. I mean, I think at this point, NASA has tracked the 1 kilometer and above, or 100 meter
Yeah.
and above asteroids. No, it's 1 kilometer,
It's
and know that none of them are of any risk to us. But we continuously discover, thanks to Atlas, for example, meteorites that would have been hazardous, and we didn't know about them as they fly past the Earth. So,
yeah.
in theory, there are some asteroids out there that can impact us and cause damage, and it's completely random. I mean, I forget what your chances are. You're like one in like some vast number, one in hundreds of thousands to die from a meteorite strike in your life,
You're
but
you're more likely if you're a normal person who goes on vacations to die in an airplane crash.
right.
And this is where completeness becomes an issue. Space is big, finding small rocky things is hard, and it gets even harder when they're dark, and a lot of these objects are really dark and they just don't reflect that much sunlight back to us.
Mm-hmm.
And So the concern is we're probably at the 90 some odd percent of the big stuff that could destroy us as a society has been discovered. And it's the stuff we haven't found that keeps people awake at night and leads to funding of things like the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, which is now at Vera Rubin Observatory.
Mm-hmm.
It's the medium city-sized stuff where we know we're not nearly that complete that gets projects like NEOS funded.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but it's time for another break. And we're back. So, I mean, we talked about knowing some percentage of some of the asteroids of some sizes, and you started to hint at some of the plans. So the goal now is to find the objects and try to get a much better sense of how much risk we face, because it's still kind of an unknown. So what are some of the projects that are attempting to figure out what kind of a cosmic shooting gallery we actually live in?
So right now, the big folks out there finding stuff, and you know their names from all the comets that they're finding along the way, we have NEOS, which is mapping out pretty much anything it can find that is far enough away that they can get good orbit. And NEOS is turning up asteroid after asteroid, comet after comet, and filling in the known objects in near-Earth orbit. Now, near-Earth orbit means things that are orbiting the sun in an orbit that is near Earth's orbit. It doesn't necessarily mean it is near the planet Earth. Atlas is out there looking for the stuff that isn't just near-Earth asteroids, but objects that are really close to our planet, sometimes getting ready to dive through the atmosphere. Atlas has found a few of those where it alerts folks to, hey, this thing is coming, take pictures. So far, no one has had to take refuge, but Atlas will warn us of the things we don't have time to deflect, and NEOS will warn us of the things that we are, working to test technology to allow us to deflect.
We'll talk about technology to deflect in a second, and this is not time for another break. But there are some other missions in the works, even some space telescopes in the works to try and detect the vast number of spacecraft of asteroids that are out there.
And here it's so many things. And I have to admit, as always, I don't necessarily pay that much attention until things are off the planet and fully functioning. I'm good with keeping track of the stuff being built on the surface of the planet because I'm pretty sure they can get that stuff working. So the next big survey is going to be the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, which is going to be finding all the tiny stuff night after night that is moving at a reasonable cadence across the sky. Now, I don't know the spacecraft you refer to.
NEOSurveyor. So the other object, the one by Amy Mainzer, is the one. Essentially the successor to NEOWISE. It's going to be an infrared-based observatory, but really focusing on planetary defense. Its one job is going to be to search for asteroids in our vicinity. And as you say, they're dark. And so generally the best way to find them is in the infrared spectrum because they do give off a little bit of warmth. And so you can find them with infrared. And so the NEOSurveyor is actually a relatively inexpensive spacecraft. It's expected to launch in 2026 and should find all of them. It should be able to find most of the scary asteroids at that point, the ones that are bigger than 140 meters.
Yeah, and this is when we talk about asteroids, we generally are 0 to 30 meters. Yeah, that could be a bad divot, but not a city killer. 30 to 100 meters, here you're starting to talk about bad day for a small township. 100 to 300 meters, city killer, beware. Yes. It's when you get over a kilometer that the dinosaurs start saying, "Now it's your turn." And
the one that hit like killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, that was 10 kilometers across.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Chicxulub meteorite. But
yeah.
but yeah, like a 1 kilometer asteroid would render a hemisphere unhappy.
And again, it's going to depend on where it hits, just how unhappy everything is. Um, it's crazy.
So yeah, yeah. I mean, hyperbole when I use the word unhappy. What I mean is for some large area, everybody dies. And then for areas around that, there's more and more damage and fire and debris and property destruction and so on and so forth.
I
So,
I
oh, go
I
ahead.
like the firefly definition of interesting, which is, oh my God, we're all going to die.
Right. Yeah. Well, we know the universe is trying to kill us. So
Yes.
this is one of the many tricks it has up its sleeve. Now, now we've talked a lot about all the crazy theoretical ideas that could be possible to try to deal with an incoming asteroid strike. And again, that could be we could do a two-part episode. I think we have done a two-part episode on all the ways to protect ourselves from asteroid impacts. But finally, NASA is doing something actually proactive about an asteroid and has launched a mission.
It has. This is DART. It's carrying along with it two little CubeSats, Luke and Leia. Those are backronyms of adorableness. And it only has one camera on it. But you know, when your job is to strike an asteroid's moon, one camera is all you need. And that camera is modeled after the Lauria camera on New Horizons. So we know it's a good one.
Yep.
DART is on its way out to an asteroid that is in no way in danger of striking the planet Earth. We are fine. Its orbit isn't that much bigger than ours, but it doesn't overlap ours. We're safe.
But it's an
And
Earth object. It's the
that,
kind of object that we should be worried about. Just we're
yes,
not worried about this one.
it's not an Earth crossing asteroid.
Yeah.
And what they're going to do is when they get really close to the asteroid Didymos that has a moon called officially Dimorphos and unofficially Didymoon, which is a way cooler
the
name.
best. Yeah.
So when it gets close enough, it's going to launch those CubeSats and it's going to fling itself into Didymoon. And the reason that they're going into the moon is they can see the moon's orbit around the larger asteroid and measure the timing of it really accurately. And since they know the mass of the DART spacecraft and they know the original orbit of Didymoon, they can look at how much the orbit changes, which could be up to 10 minutes, which is not that exciting, but easily measured. Since that change in orbit could be up to 10 minutes, they can actually see how much of the kinetic energy of the spacecraft is imparted to the moon. And the answer could be anything from it's like Bennu and they just kind of end up embedded inside a ball pit of a moon, or it could be,
oh, that's that idea, that thought.
These are the things that keep me up at night. You cannot
no, for sure.
push.
Yeah, it just goes, boom, and just disappears disappears into a fluffy pile of rock.
And the asteroid gets floofed out instead of really deflected. But at the same time, this could be a really solid fragment that got knocked off of Didymos at some point in the past and is just like a boulder in space, and you hit a boulder that's a solid object and you get really good inelastic collisions that can cause your splat of a spacecraft to do a good job.
And so when is the impact set?
We're looking at this.
When's that going to happen?
It arrives in September of next year, and I don't know if there's any plans to be able to change the encounter date at all, but we're definitely looking at September of next year.
Fantastic. All right. We know being done to find and categorize the dangerous objects, and now NASA is actually sending a mission out to tap on one of these asteroids and see what happens. I feel like this existential risk is in hand, and people are trying to figure out solutions. Kind of exciting.
It's super
Not
exciting.
So scary.
Well, Ryugu and Bennu taught us to be afraid of rubble piles. They really, really did. But
only if you're trying to count the rocks on them. But yeah, sure.
I may be scarred.
I think you are. I think you're a little scarred for life. All right. Well, thanks, Pamela.
My pleasure, Fraser. And I just mispronounced your name.
You didn't. You're right.
Okay. It came out of my mouth and I was like, that didn't sound right. I need to see if I have names because Beth was out sick. I may have to add these in after. Looking quickly, looking in the folder. Is today 12/3? Yes, I have names. All right. Sorry for the awkward edit I just created for everyone. All right. So as always, we are funded by our amazing community over at Patreon. And this time last week, we had 666 patrons.
That's a number.
Which is a number. But we have like 30,000 of you out there listening. And so I like palindromes. Yesterday was a beautiful date. It was 2021-12-02, and you could read it both directions. You could flip it upside down. It was perfection. My goal is to see this show eventually get to 888 patrons. This is my goal. If you like palindromes and you wish for a better one than 666, please become a patron and we'll send you extra content.
And let the 666 is a cool number that's going to not convince a lot of people. But anyway, give it a try. We'll reach like 777 or 888.
Yeah.
Let's hear some names.
Yeah. All right, so this week we want to thank Gabriel Gaffin, Ksenia Panflenko, Neuter Dude, Benjamin Davies, Sean Freeman, and Blixa the Cat, The Mysterious Mark, The Air Major, Joe Wilkinson, Claudia Mastriani, Bart Flaherty, Brian Kilby, Dean, Lou Zealand, Corrine Demptruck, Tim Garish, Aaron Tannenbaum, Nalia, Ben Floss, Arctic Fox, Robert Vengder, Jordan Turner, Ravening, Alan Price, Mark Van Coy, Chris Wheelwright, Jason Carducas, Olivia Bryan Zenk, Ron Thorson, Papa 1062, Robert Hundy, Kim Barron, Vitalia, Leah Harborn, Mark Phillips, Kathleen Matson, Bob the Cat, Sabri Lark, Dwight Ilk Peter, Benjamin Mueller, Michael Regan, Brett Krenop, Paul Esposito, John Ulish, Ruben McCarthy, Umu, Jeff McDonald, Wayne Johnson, and Iggy Hammock. And you can change your name to a pronunciation guide if you want me to say it right.
That's a good idea. All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Pamela.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I hate mispronouncing folks' names, and I know I mispronounce them constantly.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I love it.
That's right. Have the dyslexic person read all the names.
I don't know how this became a thing. I can take out some names if you want.
We could do that. Yes.
Sure.
Oh man.
23. I feel like I might. Well, if someone's got a Russian name, then you're okay. But if someone has a French, Spanish, and
I can't do French.
Yeah. So if someone's got a French, Spanish, or Chinese name, then I'm set.
Yeah, I can do some Eastern European names. German names I'm always staring at, and I'm like, do you say that the German way or the Americanized way? And I don't know. So like one of our folks, Robert Wenger, I don't know if it's supposed to be Wenger or Wenger.
Oh, Wenger, yeah, good point.
It could go either way. So I'm always a bit confused with German names.
Yeah. Okay, we got lots of questions. So
Okay.
prepare yourself. You ready?
No.
Okay. Quadlibit asks, what if NEOs are tiny and covered with radar absorbent material like in the Expanse? Can objects like that be detected?
If there is naturally occurring radar avoiding asteroids, we're in for a whole lot of trouble. So far, the universe hasn't thrown anything like that at us in reality.
Yeah. But the way that we detect asteroids is in the infrared. So
or in radar. There's actually radar detection done up in Manchester.
So could you hide an asteroid's heat signature? Is there a way to hide infrared radiation? I guess in theory you could hide it from one direction.
So you can do the JWST layers of vacuum gapped material, but that's not going to occur naturally. Naturally, you're going to have stuff that always glows because it's sitting there going, I'm warm, I'm in the sun occasionally.
Yep. Arjun asks, shouldn't we try to hit a variety of asteroid types?
Yes. We're starting with the moon. But there's other moons out there that we can go to. Ida's little tiny dactyl, I'd love to whack that one. It's just asking for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think what Arjun is getting at is, shouldn't we go after metal asteroids? Shouldn't we go after carbonaceous chondrites? Do you think that all small asteroids are going to end up being rubble piles? Or do you think there will be some that are little blobs like a Phobos and Deimos?
So like Itokawa doesn't appear to be a rubble pile. It does look like it could be a couple of major chunks that are bridged together. But a couple of 100-meter-ish chunks bridged together is not the same thing as a ball pit of an asteroid.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's going to be a continuum of destruction where some objects got lucky and just exist as more or less one chunk, whereas then you
Itokawa. So I'm just looking up. Itokawa is 300 meters across.
Yeah, so it's a little cashew.
Right, but if you compare that to Bennu,
which is 500 meters across,
Bennu was a rubble pile.
Yeah.
And bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
And then you have Eros, which is bigger, not hugely bigger, and it appears to be quite nicely solid.
Yeah. Okay. Hal McKinney, would the government tell us if a planet killer is headed our way? Are amateurs good enough to tell?
Amateurs could figure out a planet killer. There is a amusing new movie coming out that features 2 Michigan State astronomers, which makes me smile because that's where I got my degree from.
Yep.
That no one will listen to, that folks need to actually be concerned. And I kind of love the premise, and I'm not going to watch it in the theaters, but am going to watch it with a beer at home.
Yeah. I think so. The problem is that it's not like astronomers go, we've found a planet killer, we've got to keep this under wraps. What astronomers do is they say, we've found a potentially hazardous object, we need confirmation from other astronomers. Then other astronomers look at it and go, yeah, can confirm it's potentially hazardous, we're going to need more astronomers to look at this. And so you end up with more and more and more people turning more and more objects and space telescopes and so on this object. There's no way it would stay a secret, because literally the act of confirming its dangerousness becomes the way everyone's finding out about it. Yeah, it just becomes the way everyone finds out about it. So no way to keep it a secret.
The Astronomical Telegram is the most ridiculously GeoCities website that is regularly used. And it's how astronomers share out the weird stuff that, hey, I found this thing, I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Betelgeuse. Like, we learned of Betelgeuse getting brighter because of the astronomer's telegram.
Yeah. And it's basically a mechanism for astronomers saying either I tried to look at this thing and couldn't confirm, or I did look at this thing and confirmed, or I'm actually responsible for one that says the telescope was not pointed in the correct direction when we tried to confirm. It was 4 a.m. Yep. I got a middle of the night request to slew the telescope over to an object on the horizon that was a gamma ray burst in hopes of finding an optical transit. And the telescope I was using was all dials, no digital readout, dials.
Right.
And you read the inner rings south of the equator and the outer rings north of the equator. And I got the hours right and the minutes wrong. It was 4 a.m. and I didn't have a finding chart. I hang my head in shame still.
Right. I don't see anything. So John Seifel asks, is the opening chapters of 7E's reality? Dismissing the moon being splatted, could a large number of asteroids increase the temperature of the atmosphere to the point that it could not exist?
Yes. He got it right. Neil Stephenson's books, he does his research and then scares the bejesus out of us. His newest book takes on climate change. That's all I'm going to say.
I haven't read it yet, but I've heard what it's about. I've heard an interview with Stephenson. I would definitely put Stephenson in my list of top authors. He's probably my favorite author. Yeah.
He's one of my favorite authors.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like superlatives, but he's definitely in that list of my favorite authors.
Okay, so Third Rock Astronomy is asking, with Hubble dead in space again, how do we control deorbit it so we don't have a Greyhound bus landing on civilization? Is it dead or is it still recovering?
No. Fine. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's on the mend. It's on the mend. Last I read, they had the wide field camera working. They were working to get one of the spectrographs working. If it does go spontaneously dead, we will have a bus headed towards our world. But there are plans to develop things capable of going out and grappling it and moving it. So
in the last spacewalk mission that they did with Hubble, the last repair mission, they installed hardware that will allow it to be captured by a deorbiting spacecraft and will be able to bring it back into the atmosphere and have it go into the graveyard of spacecraft in the Pacific Ocean.
And I maintain hope that something like Starship, which is really big, is going to eventually be able to go up and bring it down to stick it in the Smithsonian. It's a hope. I keep waiting for SpaceX to put out a version of Starship that has giant cargo bay doors. These are the things that I wait for. They have? Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
It looks like it makes it look like a whale, like a baleen whale feeding on krill. So
it opens at the nose.
Yeah. So it's sort of like it just kind of opens like it opens up the top of its of
it's a sandworm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a sandworm. A hungry hippo is the way I've heard it described.
All right.
Arjun asks, do all the planets have the same chance of getting hit by asteroids, or is our closeness to the asteroid belt?
It's more a matter of there's various places where you get screwed up for various reasons. Mars' proximity to the asteroid belt does put it in a slightly bit higher damage region. Mercury, because it's super close to the sun and moving really, really fast, its speed causes it to traverse a nice healthy volume of space rather fast, and it's capable of colliding with things nicely. So it's complex.
Right, but we don't see a lot of asteroids. I think we've only seen one asteroid that's within the orbit of Venus.
So
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 they're
I
not
have to admit,
making it.
mentally, I'm adding in uh, comets into my
Hmm.
answer. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of sun grazing comets that Mercury has the ability to scoop up.
Right. Right. Scoop up, like be collided with.
There's a homework problem that if I had been able to teach upper division physics, I would have given my students at some point, mostly because I'm lazy and don't want to calculate this.
But you want to know
And
the answer.
I want to know the answer. And the question is, given the rate at which rain is falling and the cross section of the front of a person versus the top of a person, what is the rate you should actually go to minimize how
Hmm.
wet the entirety of you gets? Looking at the
Mythbusters
crossing
did
time,
this.
they did do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Mythbusters did
going to
this.
need
Does
to
it
go
make sense
find
to
that.
run? Yeah. Do you run in the
Yeah,
rain or do you walk? And
yeah.
they did them. They actually did this experimentally. I forget what the answer was. Um. Uh. Oh. We're 1 week away from the series finale. Season. The finale season of The Expanse, season 6. The
I
final
need
season.
I'm going to sit down and start from the beginning and watch the entire thing over the holidays. This is my plan.
Awesome. Yeah. What else is
Did you
coming up?
see the first season of Foundation?
Yep.
It is sadly only 10 episodes, but
Yeah. I have feelings. Um, I mean, I think everyone knows that I think Foundation is like my favorite book series. I just
yeah.
love the just the epic galactic scale
And this doesn't
thinking.
have it. This
Mm-mm.
is this is like fan
No.
fiction. So
Yeah.
so there's certain shows you have to view them as fan fiction written by people
Yeah.
who love it and are focusing on they're going to ship the characters basically.
Yeah, like Carla watched it and she's like, "This is great. I'm really enjoying this." And I can see from her perspective as a person who
Mhm.
didn't read the books and
Yeah.
love the themes to say, "Yeah, this is a well done, interesting, big idea science fiction romp with tense action scenes and cool ideas." I mean, there are some ideas in the show that would have been wonderful to add to the Foundation books,
Yeah.
like the idea of the emperor who, I don't know if you watched them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the emperor who is
Spoiler
who
warning, spoiler warning.
yeah, I guess. I mean, this is covered in like literally the first episode, but
True.
the emperor is just a series of clones and just lives on forever. So,
Yeah.
so it's literally always the same guy running the empire, which is great. It's such a great idea.
Yeah.
And then some of the other ideas that they go into are wonderful. But it just misses the point of Foundation, which is that it's about the foundation. It's about knowledge and cleverness over brute force and diplomacy and alliance building over. And so it would be better if it was, it would be more accurately done if it was, I don't know, like the West Wing, like if it was just clever speeches and people talking quickly as they walk down the Foundation's hallways. But I can appreciate that wouldn't be for everyone. People want to see people wrestle with a giant monster. Um, uh, and I watched the Cowboy Bebop. Have you seen that yet?
I started watching it and realized I was way too tired and went to bed instead.
Yeah.
And um, it took the opposite extreme. Instead of being lovingly
Yeah.
using an existing universe, it's
Shot
just
by
like
shot.
yeah.
Yeah. And that made me disappointed too. So, because
It's-
it's like I love Cowboy Bebop, but I didn't
Mhm.
remember it very well. Like it's probably been 8 years since I've watched Cowboy Bebop, and so I just remembered some of the overall themes. And so for me, the show was great. I loved it. It was wonderful. But that's because the original anime was so good. And so I'm going to go back and rewatch the original anime. But in some cases, they've literally just got the exact same scene in it. So I don't know. I'm unpleasable, I think. But I'm
Except
watching
for
the
the Expanse.
Except for the Expanse, yeah. And I'm watching the Wheel of Time and really enjoying that.
So I never read the books because people loved me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of these do not lose your life to this book series. And
they're pretty beefy, yeah.
So I'm gonna get to go into it simply knowing there's a lot of source material. And I think that's a really good position to be going into it from, because like with the Expanse, I got so grouchy with the first series. And I had to let the time progress between when I read the books and watched the series, and eventually just like disconnect them in my mind to be happy. And once I disconnected them, I was happy.
I haven't read the books. Carla has, and she's quite happy with both. Loves the books, loves the TV show. I think they struck the right balance of telling a beloved book series with a TV show. So everyone else out there, if you want a lesson, I mean, same thing with Game of Thrones, although obviously Game of Thrones went off the rails by the end, but they did a pretty good job, maybe even a better job of telling the story than the books in the TV show. So anyway, it's been a target-rich environment for science fiction, fantasy television. We in a long time, we have too much to watch. We can't keep up.
Do not watch Finch unless you want to cry.
We watched it. Yeah.
Okay. Just laying that out there for the audience. It's one where it's just like, especially as a dog owner. Yeah. And then there's Invasion and
I hear that's not so great.
Just it's a really slow burn. I'm waiting to see where they go with it. Really
Did
slow
you watch
burn.
For All Mankind yet?
I watched the first several seasons. I haven't watched the most recent season.
There's 2 seasons. Yeah, so if you've seen both seasons, then you're up to date.
Why did I think there were 3 seasons?
It's terrific. Yeah, I think For All Mankind goes toe-to-toe with The Expanse in my mind of a good science fiction television show. Yeah, I loved it.
Both the shows capture that human beings are imperfect and break.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the not everyone's a perfect hero.
Yeah.
There was too many Buck Rogers in our lives. It was time for more broken people.
We've reached the end of our hour. So
we have.
And plus. So can you? Oh, Arjun says, who's being the 3-body problem? Yeah. So I don't know if you've heard. Is it Netflix has picked up the 3-body problem, and I think they're spending like $1 billion on the show. Like I can't wait. I'm so excited, but I'm sure I'll be disappointed. By then I will read it in the original Chinese. I'm kind of ready to read it in the original Chinese now, I think.
That's amazing.
Give it a crack. I'll give it a crack in a couple more months, and then I'll read it in the original Chinese and see how that compares to the English. So what are you working on? What's going on? What's happening?
My husband, who's decided to get into streaming, got me a Hero 10 camera. I love how he's like, I'm going to spend a bunch of money on me. I'm giving you this thing so you don't complain.
Hero 10.
Yeah, it's a GoPro. It's a kind of GoPro. So they're super good at doing time lapse.
And like going out and hitting the road, you mean?
So what I like the GoPros for is they're really good at setting up to do time lapses of things where you don't want to leave your camera sitting there. So I'm going to set up some GoPros and do a bunch of fluid painting and capture the entire experience of the paint doing its thing. And I'm also going to take it out bike riding and chase some deer. So
that's awesome.
But there's going to be a whole lot of painting going on.
Let's see. I've got 3 interesting interviews coming up. One with the person who proposes building a space telescope out beyond the orbit of Saturn. One with building a telescope that's only job is to search for habitable planets at Alpha Centauri, and one who is focusing on harvesting all of the, or what it would take, how much oxygen could you harvest if you churned up the moon's regolith? And you could keep a surprising number of human beings alive for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah. And for those who don't know, this thing behind me, this is my art. So
this thing behind me is Mars.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though, that you're using your own artwork as a backdrop. And might I mention, your artwork is now being picked up to help with explain scientific discoveries. So
yeah,
I don't
super
think you
proud
ever
of that.
anticipated that, but now that you think about it, it makes a ton of sense, and I'll bet you will see this some more in the future as people discover. In fact, you should be on this like weird world. You're like, anybody have a sulfur-rich atmosphere, hot Jupiter? And you're like, I got one.
But Beth and I,
totally.
we have plans to put together a paper on what is needed to get worlds of different colors. And yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. All right. This show is over. It's time to play some video games. Thanks, Pamela. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks to all the mods. Really appreciate it. Watching us on both YouTube and on the Twitch. And we will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Sounds great. Bye-bye.